Kevin's ready. I'm going to flip the table.
And welcome to the What podcast, where we will one day flip the table.
Not today.
Not today.
Too heavy.
I mean, we talked about this last week. We're going to end up flipping a table at some point.
We are.
We're going to cause, dozens and dozens of dollars in damages, I'm sure.
Wow. Are you having a good time if you aren't damaging things?
I mean, we kind of have to have a good time if we're not damaging things. Otherwise, we get arrested, so.
See, Kevin's excited. Said, "Oh, yeah, brother."
Oh, no.
He's excited for a good table flip.
No, don't.
Rachel's watching.
No.
Rachel would call that amazing if we were able to flip some tables.
If we were able to flip some tables. I offered, we're going to end up flipping a table at some point. We're going to film it. It's going to be great. And no one will get hurt or injured in the process.
I don't know. Sometimes it's worth getting injured. Not intentionally, but if it happens, do it fun.
No. I disagree.
I don't know. I've done.
I disagree, sir.
Where I've gotten hurt and it was really funny.
No.
So we'll do that.
No, don't hit me with a chair. It says hit Eric with a chair.
We'll do that when we do the table.
Don't do that.
I thought that said hi Eric with chair, and I was like, okay, what's that secret teacher language there?
Yes, we have our own language.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyway, welcome, folks. We are live on the podcast now. We are live on the Facebook Live.
On the YouTubes. Well,
on the YouTube.
It's not going to be live on the YouTubes, but
we'll get it there.
It's live on the Facebooks. So we are here at the studio recording facility here on J. Howell Road. And we are super excited to be bringing this episode to you today.
Yes.
How's your week been going?
You and Kevin Savigny have been walking a lot and posting it.
Yes.
So it's encouraged me, or Erica's also had started walking with Grizzy in the field behind her house, because she's doing the whole couch to 5K thing. So I took it upon myself to try to do better as well. So I've been walking a couple miles every day.
Good.
Doing it at work. So that way I don't have to go home and do something else. Instead, I'm just getting it done at work.
Gotcha.
So I had it's the app you guys use. The
Map My Walk.
Yes.
Yes.
Map My Walk. That's what I was using. And then I walked all this long time in the warehouse and came back up, and it was 0.2, so somewhat of a mile. I was like, okay, a quarter of a mile. I get that. So I went back again this morning, because yesterday I did a mile. I kept going back and doing it roughly about the same. This morning I went and I was like, I'm going to stay back here in the back and walk some extra amounts and then come back up.
Right.
And I got back up and it was 0.09 of a mile. And so I realized by looking at the map that once I got into the warehouse, the GPS loses me. It doesn't track me anywhere in the warehouse. So I've been doing all
that walking for
nothing.
No recognition.
For my health, but it didn't.
But you were not able to properly track it.
It was not showing me how far. So I decided to download this other app today that it's like a pedometer pretty much. But it does measure your steps and your distance. So I hear Kevin Savigny takes 10,000 steps a day or something like that.
10,000 steps, one for every reason.
Yes. Yes.
So
Erica's in a battle with him. She said that she'll never beat Kevin, but at least she feels good for doing pretty well. He keeps her at least trying. But so I did that today, and I realized instead of 0.09 of a mile or 0.2 of a mile, it's actually about half a mile by the time I walk around the warehouse one good time. So I did that. Michael downloaded the Map My Run app.
Yes, that also exists.
So whenever I was leaving today, he was in the parking lot, walking in the parking lot. So technically he was walking.
So he should have downloaded the Map My Walk app, because Map My Run's for runners.
But, he's a fit guy.
He is a fit guy.
I feel like if he would have mapped my walk, it wouldn't have been as good for him. Just because he's hardcore.
Yes,
he's got muscles giant.
Well, you're not hardcore unless you live hardcore. So
I was excited.
I'm glad for him.
I've been doing that. You guys keep posting that you're walking, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to lose any weight if I'm not trying. So
that's true.
I got out there, started walking. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I am. The only reason I'm posting it is to hopefully encourage others to do it. I'm not someone who really needs or wants all the attention. But I got a message earlier this week saying, "Hey, you've inspired me. I downloaded that app, and now I'm walking too."
Yeah.
So
and I saw today. That's cool. You're about to get a walking group.
And you know what? I'm down for a walking group. Okay, I want the walking group. Okay, we can be called the walking group. It could be a spinoff of The Walking Dead.
I hope you guys do it, but you've got to get windbreakers. Like
yes.
90s, like
90s style windsuits.
Super bright colors.
Yep. We can each have our own color.
Yes, and you can have like your name embroidered on the back.
Yes. We gotta get this happening.
You gotta get a team name first, though.
Well, that's cool.
Get that on there as well, like team name, and then have like Creech on the back.
That's right.
I think you should do that.
We'll see.
Awesome times, though. How about you? How's your week been?
It's not been bad. It's been pretty decent week. Just another week in remote learning paradise. Today the weather was awful, and so I was stuck in the house all morning, and which was good. I had some work to do, which was got to do that. But I'm again not a fan of sitting behind the computer to do work.
It would have been hard for me to get out of bed this morning.
It was
tough.
Hard
for me in general,
really
but knowing
tough.
That like I was still at my house, didn't have to like drive to work. It would have been really hard to get out of bed.
It was really, really tough this morning, and but we made it happen. Finally, the rain parted, and I was able to get some walking this afternoon. Had a little bit of a headache. Still have a little bit of a headache. So we're doing this, kind of under the not I wouldn't say under the weather, because again, I don't have COVID-19.
I hope not.
People say, when you hear COVID, or people are under the weather, you're thinking, oh, do they have the coronavirus? No, I don't have the coronavirus. Okay.
I hope not.
Well, I hope not either, but I'm pretty sure I don't. So, but here's the thing, and me and you and Rickie have talked about this. If any one of us has had it, we all would have had it at this point, because
sure.
I mean, this is before all this mess started. We saw each other 2, 3, 4 times a week. So I mean, chances are, if one of us had it, all 3 of us had it.
That's true. That's very true.
It's one of the reasons we're still getting together to record this podcast, because we're like, well, we're probably immune to each other at this point.
On Facebook Live, Kevin Strickland says the Stricklands will join your team, Eric.
You know what? It's not my team. It's our team. It's the neighborhood team. Come join. We'll make it happen. So
I'm trying to think of like a cool name for you guys.
Well, you can think about it. Do you check our podcast email at all?
I forgot we had one, to be honest.
We add it to your Gmail on your app. We have an email from a new listener.
From where?
I don't know. His name's Thomas Meehan. He says, hi.
This is great.
I'm a new listener. He's enjoying the podcast. He wants us to keep up the great work. He wants to know if we take suggestions. And if so, he wants us to take a look. So here,
this is the first time. We'll gladly take it.
Here are some suggestions, and we'll see. We can see if there's anything that we might know about. Doctor Who, Pokemon, Disney Channel original movies. That'd be really good. This is down your alley. This is your wheelhouse. I would be a third wheel here. Nickelodeon.
I'd be great at that.
Cartoon Network.
I'd be okay at that.
Anime. I would not be great at that.
I've watched the entire series of Initial D, so we could talk about Initial D.
Dragon Ball Z.
I remember the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. It was on whenever I was younger, and so I remember the Saturday morning cartoons of it, but I feel like it took leaps and bounds beyond whatever I watched.
Digimon.
See, I was more of a Pokemon guy.
Yeah.
I didn't like
Yu-Gi-Oh! That was towards the end of I
didn't get into it.
I didn't really get into it either. I know they did the cards and stuff, the heart of the cards, and then I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. Studio.
Go ahead and try.
Ghibli.
That's a good way.
Okay.
The Savigny's are like anime type people. They should be able to tell us about these things. Not say that's anime, but like they would know.
But Thomas, thank you for emailing us. We appreciate it.
Sorry I didn't check your email.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it. So I mean,
as long as you get it, you take care of it.
We also have another email. Have you ever heard of a company called FNX? I don't know anything about it, but they want to know if we would want to collaborate with them. Something we probably need to talk about off air, but I think it's kind of cool. Hey. We're getting emails at our email address, whattheWhatMedia@gmail.com.
I mean, I get emails all the time, but usually they're just trash.
So, it's interesting. We're getting the social media shout-outs every now and then. It finally blew up. I was wondering if we were going to get any comments on today's topic.
We did.
And we ended up getting quite a few, if I'm not mistaken.
Because we went with your idea last week of
posting it on Wednesday
to give people Wednesday and Thursday to comment.
Right.
So, in addition to Wednesday, I also took Thursday and threw a little bit more out there.
Yes.
So, we actually did okay. So, you guys commented. You had plenty of time. I had discussions with people at work today. We'll get into that a little bit more later.
Right.
Because I don't want to spoil it.
Well, we're going to get into today's episode. We're thanking you for joining us for today's What the What podcast episode. Waiting for my iPad to, boot
What's
up
that password again? Let the world know.
I don't know.
Oh.
We are excited to talk about today's topic, which is The Office Season 1, which came out 15 years ago. It was actually back in March, I believe.
It's crazy.
So it's about 15 years old.
So I was about to graduate when this came out.
Yes. I was in college when this came out. And before we get into the episode, we want to ask everyone who's watching here on Facebook Live, those of you watching on YouTube, all two of you, those of you listening to the podcast, that's me and Kyle, please subscribe to this podcast. We are on all major podcasting platforms. Name a major podcasting platform.
Podbean.
We are on Podbean. That's who we're hosted through.
iHeartRadio.
We're on iHeartRadio.
Was it Addict?
Podcast Addict. We're on them. On that.
Listens to.
We're also on Apple.
How about Stitcher?
We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify.
I listen to us on Apple. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, we're on Apple.
Unless I do it on Podbean at work.
Yeah, we're on Apple. We're on all the major
yes, I listen to it.
Major podcast platforms. So make sure we're also on YouTube.
Yeah. We're working on this. We have a new camera in the studio today.
Yep, new camera.
I do know, if you've looked at some of our YouTubes before, some of it honestly is not great because the film's not bad, but volume-wise, we lose that.
Yes.
And plus, there's kind of an echo in here.
Yeah, a little bit.
One day, we're going to get that room built at your house with all the cool stuff. So we're not going to have a zoomed-up shot of just us. We're going to have shelves behind us with toys on it and movies and posters and all sorts of things. Folks, if you would like to send in items to have, I guess it's gifts because I don't know if we can guarantee you get them back or not, but to be put on the shelves behind us that we are building at Eric's house.
Yes. Brandon Lumen listens to us on Spotify. Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate it. How are you doing, buddy? It's been a while since I've seen you because, you live in Norway now. But hope you're doing well.
For sure.
We appreciate you tuning in. But if you want to subscribe to us on any of those major podcasting platforms or on YouTube, make sure that you search for us by typing in What the What Media, all one word. And please rate and review us.
I bet you if we flip a table, we can get 100 followers or subscribers on YouTube.
Go ahead.
Well, not right now.
Okay, good.
We gotta jack it up a little bit, get excited.
That's right.
Maybe put somebody through a table.
What we need to get our pastor, Devon.
Get the tables.
He can go get the tables.
You have to look really stern and be like, Devon!
Gotta push him.
Yeah. Get the tables, and he'll come running. Well, probably he won't. He'll probably be like, "What are you talking about?
Why are you pushing me? Mm-hmm. Just keep your distance."
He'll just deck you.
Yes, probably. We're also on social media, Facebook and Instagram. You can find us again, What the What Media, all one word, and Twitter, WTW_media. People have asked, why not What the What Media on Twitter? Well, they have a character limit. What the What Media is one character too long. So if they ever extend how many characters you can make your username on Twitter, we will go back to What the What Media. But right now it's WTW_media, which is the best we can do.
Or you can just put What the What.
What the What.
DA.
No.
What the what?
No, I can't do it.
Okay.
And if you like this episode or any of the other 46 episodes that we are currently sitting on right now, please share this with a friend, and we will bring it up the next time that we record, which, as it stands, is every Thursday for right now. So, yeah. That makes a lot of noise. Cool.
Yeah.
Today's episode, we are diving into The Office Season 1. For those of you who have not seen The Office Season 1, here is a spoiler warning we will be discussing.
Give me some background noise. Keep going. Get loud. Come on. Come on.
I hate to know what that's going to sound like on the audio when
Get
we go
excited.
through this.
Get excited. We've been talking about this for months. What are you waiting on? Get excited. Look at you taking your time.
Are you done?
No. We got an hour or however long this is going to take. I'm excited for The Office. Greatest television show of all time. Fight me.
if you haven't seen The Office season 1, this is your spoiler warning. We will be discussing the first season of The Office and possibly other seasons beyond it. So if you haven't seen it, well, it's not on Netflix anymore.
It is.
Is it?
I watched it on Netflix yesterday.
Oh.
At work.
Interesting. Well, go back and watch at least the first season, or all 9 seasons.
They're all there.
They're all there, apparently. I thought they were being taken off to be added to the new NBC streaming service, but whatever. Let's jump into the discussion before Kyle breaks this table. The Office is... We are talking about the U.S. version of The Office, by the way. It's an American mockumentary sitcom. For those of you who don't know what a mockumentary is, Kyle, tell the people what a mockumentary is.
It's a fake documentary.
So it's mocking.
I really had to not study at all for that. I wasn't expecting that. So
well, you know what? I wasn't expecting you to pound the table and kill our audio.
You got to be ready.
You got to be ready. You got to be ready for anything.
That's how you get big. You do random things that people don't expect, blow their eardrums out, and then they'll never forget you because you ruined their life.
Yeah. So
a mockumentary.
This American mockumentary sitcom television series that depicts the everyday lives of office employees in the Scranton, Pennsylvania branch of the fictional Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. It first aired on NBC. The first season started March 24th, 2005, and it lasted a total of 9 seasons. It is an adaptation of the 2001 BBC series of the same name. And it was adapted for American television by a man named Greg Daniels, who was a veteran writer for Saturday Night Live, King of the Hill, and The Simpsons. Like its British counterpart, it was filmed in a single camera setup without a studio audience, no laugh track, to simulate the look of an actual documentary. It debuted on NBC as a mid-season replacement, and it aired 201 episodes over the course of its entire run.
The British one only did 12 and a Christmas special, I believe.
That's correct.
Six and then 1.
That's correct.
So, yeah.
The Office originally featured Steve Carell, Rainn Wilson, John Krasinski, Jenna Fisher, and B.J. Novak as the main cast. But it expanded to numerous changes over the years, adding in more and more main characters or supporting casts, some of whom we'll probably talk about tonight.
Yes.
The first season was only 6 episodes, and it was met with some mixed reviews. But I got to tell you, we'll talk about this when we get a little more deeper into the series. But there were 2 episodes that really kind of sold me on this show to begin with. Anyway.
Okay.
Great. It was a great show. The first season, 6 episodes. You had your pilot. You had 5 episodes following that, kind of setting the groundwork for what was to come in later seasons. What are your thoughts and feelings on this show, Kyle?
Well, first I want to ask, when did you get into The Office?
What
got you into it?
In the middle of season 2. I was at a buddy's dorm room, and he's like, dude, I got to show you this funniest show. Okay? And he pulled out his laptop. He had bought the first season on iTunes.
Okay.
This is back when iTunes was a thing. All right? And, like, episodes were like $3 or whatever the episodes were, And he showed me Diversity Day, which was the 2nd episode, and he showed me Basketball, which was the 5th episode. And I was hooked. And immediately, like that, it was a Thursday, I went home and watched the episode that aired that night on NBC, watched the rest of the season, and then when the DVD came out later that summer, I went and bought the first and second season DVD, or I might have even got it as a birthday present, and binged through it. And then by the time season 3 was ready to roll in September, I was there, ready for season 3. So, yeah.
Nice.
So, what? Back to my question.
Well,
your thoughts and
I feel like it's important to talk about that though, because it's one of those things that I feel like everybody. Very rarely in life do you latch onto something as soon as it comes out on television.
Right.
And follow it through its entire path, at least. I know you've done that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the most part, right? Yeah. So you kind of latched on with that and followed through with it. There's been some other ones I've done. The Goldbergs is one, which I've watched every week as it's come out. But for The Office, I didn't. Like, I remember being in college and stuff. I didn't watch a lot of TV, especially stuff like that. I would watch random things on TV, or just sit down on whatever's on TV. But, so, The Office came out in 2005. I got married in 2012, late 2012. So, it had to have been late 2012 or early 2013 whenever I started finally watching The Office. I was playing in a band at the time, and they were always referencing two shows. Mm-hmm. They were either quoting The Office or talking about Walking Dead.
Okay.
And so I started watching both because I was like, well, I have this thing called a Roku now that I can watch things on Netflix. And so The Walking Dead was there and The Office was there.
Right.
So I started watching it then, and I want to say we finally finished up right about the time that the finale was was coming out. So around that, I may have even bought like the live version, or I don't know. Either way, we caught it right about the time it was ending. Maybe it was a couple months behind it, so that whenever I got on Netflix and finished it. But I don't know. I love the show. As I said earlier, I definitely think it's my favorite television show that I've ever watched, especially a full series run of a show. In the world we live in now, it's easy to binge watch a lot of things.
Right.
So this was probably one of the first things I ever binge watched, especially because it was ending as we were finishing getting into it. But there's other shows that we did it. But for me too, it was fun to go back and watch because I hadn't seen anything in a similar way. You'd only seen episodes from season 1 when you started. I didn't have an idea of anything. So going back now, if you've seen some other episodes and you go back to season 1, you can see some inconsistencies where it's like, okay, they were really trying to figure out their way here because stuff's really kind of rough, or or even topics that are covered is a little bit different, and character development is still very much happening at this point. Figuring out what who's who and what their characters really are, how to portray that character the best. But even going back now, like I said, I went and watched for the most part all of season 6 or season 1 yesterday, 6 episodes, and for me, it still is very funny. Like I said, being a little bit older now, watch some of it doesn't hold up as great. Like, not because it's just topics that are covered, I guess, and how things are handled. I remember, I guess cringy is a word.
Cringy is the best word
for how Michael Scott is portrayed a lot, at least in the very beginning.
And I'll go ahead and say this. I mean, so like Diversity Day, like in 2005 or 2006 when I first saw it, I laughed my butt off. I go back and watch it now, and I'm just a little mortified at the fact that one, okay, I thought that was super hilarious, and there's a little bit of
Sure, there's some parts of it that are funny, but for the most
part,
but
now it's like you look back through it, knowing what you know now, and it's like, and what you should have known then. I guess it's like, that's just offensive at this point. I mean, I don't know, I can't believe they were playing that for laughs, and so, but that kind of goes along with the territory of what you're talking about. I mean, this show evolved over time, so.
Sure. Well, the same way I was telling a coworker about it today, we were talking about it, she never watched it. I think she was born in 1998, so she just never got into The Office.
Well, she was born in 98, and then this show came out when she was 8. I mean,
well, yeah.
So, yeah.
But, like, she watched Friends, though. Like, she's seen all of Friends, so it's one of those things. So, she pulled out her phone and put her headphones in and started watching, like, the first episode today, and started laughing at it, like, out loud, not realizing how loud she was laughing. So, it's pretty funny. But for me, I really like the show. For me, too, I relate to it personally because I work in an office.
Right.
Especially once I started this show, I was in an office setting. So as I'm watching this show, I remember going to work the next day and talking to Justin and being like, do you ever watch The Office? Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah. And I was in my mind, I was thinking, Jim is Michael Thompson.
Yes, he is.
He's a coworker of mine, a great friend that I grew up knowing and loving as a great friend. But as soon as I see Jim on TV, I'm like, that's Michael Thompson. Well, I'm talking to Justin upstairs at work the next day after first starting watching The Office. And he's like, yeah, I watched that show. And he's 2 seconds later, he looked at me and goes, Michael is Jim. I was like, yes. And so I finally asked Michael about it. He had never seen the show at that point. I think he's going to watch it now and realize, even today, he's like, I don't know. So we both have big noses, but that's about as much as I get out of it. But there's more to it.
No, there's a lot more to it. So The Office is, like I said, it's a mockumentary, and in the first season, you have this documentary crew arriving at the Scranton offices of Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. There's several branches throughout the Northeast that we'll find out later in other episodes or in future seasons. And they want to observe the employees and learn about modern management. We end up finding out that it was PBS that ends up being the one to film this documentary. And the regional manager, Michael Scott, is trying to paint a happy picture in the face of a potential downsizing from corporate. That's one of the big storylines through the first season and through several of the first couple seasons is the fear of employees being laid off. The paper.
He wanted to be the best friend.
He wanted to. He didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. He was the boss, but he also wanted. He was really looking for acceptance.
Well, he even
and friendship.
says in an episode, first I'm a friend, or a best friend.
Yep.
Second, I'm a boss.
Yes. So we meet several other employees in the office. Dwight Schrute, who is the assistant to the regional manager, not assistant regional manager. It's lower, as Michael wants to note. Jim Halpert, who is a pretty good salesman in the company, who didn't really think he'd be at a paper company, but whatever. Pam Beasley, who is the receptionist. We meet Ryan Howard, who is the temp. He's there getting,
Who gets hired the day that they're talking about possibly having to downsize.
Yes.
He hires a temp.
Yes. And then there's several other employees, but those are the 5 main cast members who appear in the credits. Mm-hmm. So, who's your best character?
That's tough. Are we still doing best character and MVP?
Yeah, because you can have best character from this season and then MVP of the season. They can be different things.
I will take it as best/favorite.
Okay.
For me.
So favorite character from this season.
Because I will say Jim. Because for me, Jim is a person that I always related to in this series. And honestly, more than anything, I latched on to the relationship of him and Pam. Sorry, we're going to change this a little bit, but there's another great podcast out there called The Office Ladies.
Office Ladies, yes.
Where it's Pam and Angela / Jenna and Angela that are from The Office, and they go episode by episode talking about The Office.
Right.
Today, they discussed that Creed actually was not the Halloween episode was not his first speaking line.
Okay.
In this episode, in the healthcare episode, Michael Scott's trying to figure out a way to surprise or bring a great prize or something for the people.
Yes.
So he calls or goes and speaks. Or no, I guess he's on the phone with a mining company.
Yes.
He's like, I want to take my office staff to your amusement ride. And he's like, well, it's just a mine shaft.
It's a mine shaft.
We're just going down. He said it's not really. He's like, well, it's like a big giant drop, right? And he's like, well, no, it's like a really slow descent. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, was he like laser tag at the bottom, whatever? He's like, no, it's just a mine shaft. Turns out that was Creed Bratton on the phone.
Oh, nice.
That was him speaking. And also, there's one other moment in the very first pilot, in Diversity Day. Mm-hmm. If you're a background person in a television show and you're talking, you have to get paid more than if you have to have a contract and get paid for that.
Right.
Versus if you're just standing around and making, movements and stuff, you don't get paid for that. Well, you get paid, but not as much. Well, they had him and I don't know if it's Phyllis, but they had them banter back and forth. Mm-hmm. And they ended up using that, so they had to give him a contract. So, they discussed that on the podcast today, that technically he spoke twice before you ever see him in the Halloween episode directly talking to the camera.
That's awesome.
But yes.
Look at you with the fun facts. That's awesome.
Yes.
Good stuff. So,
you are correct, Casey. Sorry,
Yes.
I was reading Casey's live.
Yeah.
Casey Allen's comment on the
We
Facebook.
need to move this over here to the middle so you're not just leaning over.
It's okay.
On me, but whatever.
It's okay. Everybody's fine with that. But yeah, he's my favorite. Kevin's my all-time. Like, if I had to pick somebody of who I technically was out of Office, I choose to be Kevin every time. Because I'm not Jim material.
Right.
So I choose to be Kevin. How about you?
I guess favorite character for me would be Pam.
I totally see that.
She's someone that I just, she's easy to root for.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that she's also not where she thought she'd be in life at this point. Kind of like Jim. Mm-hmm. She's stuck in a dead-end engagement that is not progressing anywhere
For 3 years.
For 3 years. And she works with a buffoon for a boss, and you just you're rooting for her to just have the best day ever. So,
well, going back and watching it yesterday, I didn't realize how much Pam was involved.
Right.
Especially the first couple of episodes.
Yes.
But the first one, she's very involved. Like,
Oh,
anytime
yeah.
you're seeing Michael, you're seeing her for the most part.
Because she's walking around with him. So.
Yes, she constantly, even in the conference room meetings, she's very much involved in all these things. So I didn't realize how much she was involved. So I don't know. I totally get that.
Yeah. So that would be my favorite character for the season.
How about, let's give you a break of characters. How about favorite episode?
That's tough. I think it's still the basketball episode.
Okay, good, because I didn't choose that one.
because I mean, and for me, like the basketball episode, it's one of my favorites because it's one of the first ones. But it showcases a dynamic between the office and the warehouse that you don't get to see, you haven't gotten to see previously. It's like two different worlds kind of colliding. But not only that, you get to see the advancement of Jim and Pam, and Jim and Roy, who Roy is Pam's fiance. You get to see that dynamic play out one-on-one, and they're both kind of vying for her attention a little bit. So yeah, for the first season, basketball is my favorite episode. And just to make sure, we were talking about season one of the Office. There's a lot of great episodes in the entire series that are better than anything the first season's put out. But for just the first season, basketball.
The fun part for me too is I mentioned previously I work in an office, but we also have a warehouse. So I automatically think about these things. Where I was thinking just now of how do I get a basketball goal to the warehouse at work and challenge the warehouse workers. I'd get killed. I'm not in good shape. But I got at least Michael Thompson's there.
All you've got to do is claim a flagrant personal intentional foul.
That's true.
And that'll stop the game. And as long as you're winning at that point,
then you win.
I guess the warehouse is working the weekend.
Until they're not.
Exactly.
For me, my favorite is healthcare.
That's a great choice.
For me, especially if I would have watched this when it first came out in 2005, I wouldn't have cared about this as much.
Right.
But watching it now or especially then as a married person, as a person that was having to pay for healthcare for my wife at the time and not realizing how important healthcare was, I related to this much more when realizing he's trying to take away all your healthcare. But even beyond that, I think it's just funny. For me, I realized too, and we'll talk about this a little bit later with all of the the shout outs.
Yes.
This show in general isn't something that you necessarily ask somebody and be like, what's your favorite part about The Office? You're not going to get responses about that. Instead, you're getting quotes.
Yes.
The Office,
lots of quotes.
Every episode of this entire series has at least one quote, if not at least 5 to 10.
It's a very quotable series, and that's one of the reasons I like it. We've talked about before when we've talked about shows that we've liked. I'm a big fan of shows that are quotable. It's one of the reasons I love Community. It's one of the reasons I love the show Psych. The Office, Friends, they're all quotable. And they're not just quotable, but they're memorable quotes that you can just pull up at any point, through any kind of conversation. Hit us with some of those quotes from season one.
What I brought up was, instead of trying to explain a whole lot about the healthcare episode, I just brought some of the great quotes from that episode.
Okay.
So you got Dwight Schrute, who is the one that has been assigned to pick the new healthcare. He says, what did I do? I did my job. I slashed benefits to the bone. I saved this company money. Was I too harsh? Maybe. I don't believe in coddling people. In the wild, there is no healthcare. In the wild, healthcare is, ow, I hurt my leg. I can't run. A lion eats me, and I'm dead. Well, I'm not dead. I'm a lion. You're dead.
You're dead, yes.
So, that's one. Dwight Schrute also says, okay, first, let's go over some parameters. How many people can I fire? Michael Scott says, none. You're picking a healthcare plan. Michael says, the most sacred thing I do is care and provide for my workers, my family. I give them money. I give them food. Not directly, but through the money.
Through the money.
I heal them. Today, I am in charge of picking a great new healthcare plan, right? That's what it's all about. Does that make me their doctor? Yes. In a way. Like a specialist.
Yes.
Jim says, right now, this is just a job. If I advance any higher in this company, then that would be my career. And, if this were my career, I'd throw myself in front of a train.
Yes. Well, spoiler alert, Jim. Although it doesn't become his career 10 years later. Anyway, technically.
Jim also says, wait, what are you writing? Don't write... Well, let me get a little background. Dwight is giving all of the employees sheets of paper. They have to write down diseases or things that they have so that to try to cover the healthcare.
Yes.
Jim says, wait, what are you talking to Pam? Says, what are you writing? Don't write Ebola or mad cow disease, right? Because I'm suffering from both of them.
And then Pam says, I'm inventing new diseases.
Jim says, oh, great.
So, let's say that my teeth turn to liquid and then they drip down the back of my throat. What would you call that?
I thought you said you were inventing diseases. That's spontaneous dental hyperplosion.
Nice. Yes.
So, and there's plenty more. There's another one.
Here's a good one.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Dwight, don't you need health insurance? Don't need it. Perfect immunity. I can raise and lower my cholesterol at will. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to raise your cholesterol? So I can lower it.
So, I mean, that's just how this whole thing goes forever. And I feel like that's one of the best things about it. Like I said, we'll talk some more about that.
I have the awesome Dunder Mifflin hat here.
I'm surprised you're not wearing it.
I should have wore it. I don't know why I'm not. I brought it, though.
Too many hats.
Too many hats.
And Bob, you're wrong. It's assistant to the regional.
Assistant to the regional. It's lower. So, talking about quotes. Okay, there's so many quotes in the first season. I'm gonna list some quotes from just the season in general. Okay, and if you want to,
I wrote a few more.
If you know them, say them with me. From the first episode, Michael talking about downsizing to the camera. You know, for his little confessional or whatever. Am I going to tell them? No, I'm not going to tell them. I don't see the point of that. As a doctor, you would not tell a patient if they had cancer.
Michael also finishes the line saying, "You're a gentleman and a scholar." That's a quoted line that I've been told multiple times.
And it turns out he's talking to a woman on the phone. People that Michael respects. People I respect. Heroes of mine would be Bob Hope. Abraham Lincoln, definitely. Bono. And probably God would be the fourth one.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about how Steve Carell ad-libbed that line, where they told the director of writers told Steve to go home and think up who does he think that Michael Scott's role models would be, and that's what he came back with.
Yes, I just think all those people really helped the world in so many ways that it's really beyond words. It's really incalculable.
Yes.
The girl I was dating at the time, we used to love this show. I think her mom actually got me a laptop case that had like the Dunder Mifflin logo on it. I think I still have it somewhere. Maybe, I don't know. I should have brought it.
We should be using that.
We should.
You need your laptop in a case.
It comes in my book bag. But that was one of the things that we really like to quote it was incalculable.
Mm-hmm. Pam also says at some point, I don't think it's any little girl's dream to be a receptionist. That's pretty true.
From the second episode, Diversity Today. Like I said, this episode is a little cringy now because Michael uses the N-word, which it's bleeped out on the show. He's imitating the Chris Rock routine. Mm-hmm. But there's still some great quotes here where Michael's he wants to do his own diversity awareness thing because that's what they're trying to bring to light. So they're doing Diversity Today. Well, Michael Scott gets in front of the camera and is like, "Hi, I'm Michael Scott, Regional Manager of Dunder Mifflin Scranton. I'm also the founder of Diversity Tomorrow because today is almost over." And then the next quote, he takes puts his foot up on a chair. Abraham Lincoln once said, "If you're a racist, I will attack you with the North." And those are the principles that I carry with me in the workplace. And that's all the video is. That's it. That's the whole video.
He says I only had an hour to do this. So there's one more. Dwight says downsizing. I have no problem with that. I've been recommending downsizing since I first got here.
I even brought it up in my interview.
So I don't know. It's great moments. I mean, if you want some more,
here's some great quotes. This is I'm not sure which episode this is from, but Michael says, "When I retire, I don't want to just disappear to an island somewhere. I want to be the guy who gives everything back. I want it to be like, hey, who donated that hospital wing that's saving so many lives? I don't know. It was anonymous. Well, guess what? That was Michael Scott. But it was anonymous. How do you know? Because I'm him." And then Michael's, again, this is not condoned, but his, I don't want to say racist, but I guess uninformed or bigoted views or whatever can be on display in the basketball episode. Oscar, who's of Hispanic descent or Mexican descent, he is offering to, if Michael needs another player on the basketball team against the warehouse, says, "I can play basketball if you need any help." And Michael's like, "I will use your talents come baseball season, my friend, or if we box." And then he picks Stanley because, and he says Stanley, of course, because Stanley's, he's African American, and Stanley, "Why, of course." Mm-hmm. And and then it turns out Stanley can't play basketball, which is hilarious.
Very well, anyway.
But yeah, some great quotes there.
Go jump into the MVP.
Yeah,
who's your MVP?
MVP of the season is Dwight Schrute.
Okay,
that's just my opinion. I know Jim and Pam will probably get a lot of play here, and Michael's still trying to fill out his role. Mm-hmm. But Dwight is the like he's the antagonist. I mean, he grows into someone that you like. He's the perfect foil for Jim in some of these episodes, especially the alliance episode where Dwight is trying to form an alliance to to make sure they protect against downsizing. Something like Survivor, which we'll talk about in a couple of weeks. But I think it's Dwight Schrute. I mean, that's just my opinion. The hot girl episode, the season finale. Him and Jim are kind of adversaries there, vying for the attention of Katie, played by Amy Adams. This is before she got really big, by the way, in the film industry. Dwight and Jim kind of butt heads. I mean, Dwight is, the Jim aspect. Jim has 2, maybe even 3, main characteristics that are really important, especially in this first season. His relationship with Pam, his, desire to not really be great at his job, but just, slacker just enough to whatever. And that third aspect is the relationship he has with Dwight. That antagonistic relationship. And I don't think Jim is as complete of a character if you don't have Dwight there. And for that reason, I think Dwight's the MVP.
I'll go a different route, just so we can have a little bit more to talk about.
Absolutely.
I'll say Pam.
Okay.
Because I agree, without Pam or Dwight, Jim's character, it's not that he's not good anymore, but he loses all that stuff you love about Jim. If you don't have Pam and you don't have Dwight, you lose a lot of that for Jim. Dwight, especially as things continue to go on throughout the years, all the pranks, all the things, all the great things that are going to continue to happen. There's tons of greatness there. We don't see it as much in the first season. But even, I'll say beyond that, you've got a little bit of relationship with her and Dwight, not much there, but that will grow as well. But also, Michael Scott, anytime you're seeing him, a lot of it's with Pam, as we previously discussed, but it's a lot of playback, back and forth with Pam, because even on the podcast today, they were talking about just how snarky's not really
Snarky?
Snarky is a
That's
good
the word you're looking for.
That's a proper word.
That's a great word.
But there's multiple times where he says things, and not being a jerk, she just replies back and is like, no, you told me to put it in the special folder, which is the recycling bin.
Yes.
In the same way, there's multiple times, she's just very calm, collected, and just like, no, this isn't what you said. Or, I was actually in that meeting, Michael. They did say that there would be downsizing. Yes. As he's telling everyone there's no downsizing.
Yes. She's like the fact checker, she's not going to lie for Michael Scott.
No.
Which is awesome. And the fact that she does it without fear of repercussion, too, because, which Michael is not necessarily that way, but, if your boss tells you something, or, you don't want to make your boss look bad in front of all the other employees, because some bosses have the ability to, really take it out on you, or,
for sure.
There'll be some consequences because you defied them in public or whatever, or in front of other workers. So, she's kind of brave. So I can see her being the MVP.
So that's my vote.
Okay. What's next on our list?
I believe it's fun facts.
Fun facts and trivia. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. We're doing 3 apiece, 6, one for each episode of the first season. I actually did not come prepared with any fun facts. I didn't come prepared at all for this because
it's just part of your heart. It's part of your life.
That's it. But I realized about 10 minutes ago. Wait, we have fun facts, and I don't have any. So
it's okay.
But I do have a couple.
If you lose them, I wrote down 7.
That's cool. The opening credits with the great piano theme song. John Krasinski, who plays Jim, shot the footage of Scranton for the opening credits. After he found out he was cast as Jim, he visited Scranton for research, and he interviewed employees at actual paper companies.
To add on to that, and not necessarily create a whole nother fact, but also the cast did pick that opening theme music. It says,
nice.
The U.S. series creator Greg Daniels gave them 4 versions of the song and told them to vote for the winner. And so that was the one that was chosen.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
So we'll add that to yours. For me, let's see. And I've heard this in an interview with John Krasinski before, but when he auditioned, he accidentally told the executive producer that he was worried that they were going to mess up the show since he liked the British version very much, or so much. He was, I guess, outside in the waiting room to go in for his audition, and the guys asked him kind of what was he expecting, who's also sitting out there with him. And he told him, I'm hoping that they don't really screw this up because it's a really good show. Well, then he gets into his audition, and that same guy is sitting at the table hosting his audition.
Yes. So. My next fun fact is not even one I found on online or whatever. It's just one that I know. B.J. Novak plays the character Ryan Howard the Temp. Ryan Howard was named for the then local minor league baseball player who played for the Scranton Red Barons, I believe is the minor league team in Scranton, who was the Phillies affiliate. The first baseman was named Ryan Howard. He ended up making the Phillies roster the next year.
Nice.
When the series started. And so just a huge coincidence. And that actually comes into play in season 9 when Jim and Daryl interview the Ryan Howard.
That's true.
For something with their sports marketing company. So Ryan Howard, the Office character named after Ryan Howard, the baseball player, who at the time was not as big of a deal as he would become just a year later. So it turned out he was a very big deal in the majors. I believe that they won a World Series with him at first base in 2007. So
nice. Another odd one is the temperature on the set had to be kept at a cold 64 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason for this, according to Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight, is because Steve Carell had very active sweat glands that could ruin a shot. So the entire cast had to suffer until the crew finally sprung for space heaters later on. I can relate to that.
I can relate to that too.
Sometimes.
Yes, I mean depending on how how hot it is. I mean we could be sweating bullets in here. The computers on set, they really worked. They even had internet, which helped the cast feel like they were in a real life office. So when they were supposed to be sitting at their computers doing work, they were actually just kind of goofing off on the internet. You give them something to do while they were shooting footage.
To add on to that, and to also give another shout out once again to the Office Ladies podcast, they were talking about, especially for the pilot episode, that entire time of filming, they were required to get there like 30 minutes, like the first 30 minutes of being there, they just had to pretend that they were working.
Right. So
that they would have B-roll like footage to be put in other places. So for 30 minutes a day, they just literally sat there at their desks and pretend to be working. The same way I think like the highlight marker where she's like whiting out some stuff ends up making it into the intro or whatever, that's where that came from. My last fact will be this one. It says on several episodes, a Homer Simpson doll can be seen on the set.
Yes, it can.
In the background, it says Greg Daniels was a writer on The Simpsons, so he put a doll on the set to nod as his past. Also, to kind of blend in with that as well, the cast was told to bring in some of their personal items to put on their desks to give each one of them more character. Phyllis, for instance, had a feather boa as a nod to her past as a burlesque dancer. And Angela brought in a picture of her and her grandma in some like cheesy frame that her grandma had given her at some point. So they were put on the desk not necessarily to reflect them as a person, but who they thought their character would be.
Right.
So, and it made me think about that today as I looked around at my desk, like all the random action figures and stuff I have on my desk, the coffee mugs, and each person like sets up their own area. Same way I'm sure like in your office you have
absolutely.
A lot of your Funko Pops are there. Or you did. You may have taken them home.
They're at home. Yeah, New Day was at work. I had a couple of like little inspirational plaques that I've been given over the years. Some good stuff. So yeah.
Is that it? Was that 6?
That was 6. I did 3. You did 3, man. So
great. That's how math works. So
that's how 3 and 3 is 6. That's how the math works.
No matter how you spin it.
So, any last thoughts on this series?
I think it's a great show. It's one of those things too. I feel like when watching it, you may be like, all I'm gonna tell you is to go watch it.
Right.
For me, sitting here trying to tell you about it, it's hard because, like I said, it's a very quotable thing that once you watch it, you love all these things, you laugh your head off. But it's not easy just to be like, oh, it's this great, lovable show. It's a documentary. You should go watch. Like, it is. Go watch it. But at the same time, it's something you kind of have to experience. For me too, I'll say, because I don't know when the next time will be that we cover an Office episode. But for me, it reminded me a lot, especially by the time we got to the finale. It reminded me of MASH, the TV show that, like, maybe our parents or grandparents grew up watching the whole series through, where you had this big emotional finale. For me, that was my MASH episode. This is my MASH series where I watched the entire thing, got very invested, and had a very emotional finale.
Right.
So I know we're skipping 9 seasons ahead by me saying that, but for me, it's just one of those things that not many shows have I ever watched, and it really like affected my life in that sort of way. But it's just something I attached myself to a lot. As I'm saying all this, I'm trying to scroll through and get
we got to do our social media shout-outs. I almost skipped right ahead to the end. Sorry, people. This is what happens when I don't plan ahead and I don't have a script.
I will say, too, as I'm pulling this up, being in an office setting, it's something we've talked about before, and it got brought up today again. when you work in an office like that, or maybe just wherever you do work, we automatically try to figure out who is who. So today we were joking about that. Michael obviously is Jim. And then Roy Jr. is obviously Michael Scott. And then Amanda Thompson is Pam. And then Whitley is Angela. She used to be Meredith because she had red hair, but now some other people don't work in our office anymore, so now she's Angela. So, I don't know, for us it's just something fun. You even commented on this, you said, I'm not sure who I would be, which character you would be.
Yeah.
And I said you would either be a Jim, a Daryl, or a Stanley. So it just depends on the day and the attitude of that day. You know when I said that? 5 weeks ago. We were getting this thing set up 5 weeks ago that we did a post. And you said you weren't sure you would be.
I mean, and
Jim,
I don't...
Daryl, Stanley.
Yeah, I can see...
I feel like when you have different moods sometimes, you can be different people.
I could be Grumpy Stanley, I could be Daryl, who's chill, and I could be Jim, who's the
cool guy.
The cool guy.
Sorry, I'm still waiting for these comments to roll up.
So, roll up. Try turning the internet off.
No, it's here. I got it now. We were talking today, we put a post out on social media about who do you think the MVP of Season 1 of The Office is. Chris Rode commented, said, I think it was a tag team for Jim and Dwight, which obviously went along with what we said. Laura Daniels.
Hashtag not Laurel.
Not Laurel. Says, I agree with Chris Rode. It's hard to pick between the two of them. They both were some really great moments. Whoa.
I'm trying to find the comments.
That's copyrighted and such. Now let me go to my page because I know some of you guys commented on my own yesterday.
Yes. They didn't comment on mine.
It happens. Sometimes nobody comments and the world just kind of crashes. Oh wait, now I'm on live. Get off of there.
Yep, I told you. It happens.
It's easy. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Chris Rode commented again yesterday. We're just talking in general about The Office and what some of the favorite things were. He said, oh man, this has to be one of my favorite seasons, though it was short. So many one-liners and awkwardness that is brought. I think my favorite episode is the healthcare episode when Dwight starts naming off the medical issues and asking them to explain their ailments. I didn't get a chance. I told Chris we might.
But no one here has it. Somebody does.
Bobby Bryant says Dwight being in charge of picking the healthcare plan was his favorite memory from Season 1. Let's see. Chris, of course, quoted the whole thing that we quoted earlier about healthcare and saying, well, I'm the lion, you're dead. Bobby Bryant, which I had forgotten about this part, says Count Choculatus. Yes. Why did you write that, Jim? It's because you know I love Count Chocula.
Are you?
So, let's see. Bobby Bryant also quoted the one that you quoted earlier, talking about, I don't need health insurance. I can raise and lower my cholesterol at will.
Just to lower it.
And then Chris quoted Kevin's disease that he has as well. And I think that about covers it. Trying to do a quick scan real quick. We do appreciate you guys tuning in each week. You guys are always awesome of leading comments and letting us know what your favorite parts of or about these. Sorry, I'm talking and doing things at the same time. I'm not very good at that. Right. Okay, here we go. Laura Daniels Davis.
Yes.
Says, I've been waiting for an Office-themed episode. Best show ever. No, you're wrong, Eric. You're wrong. I have a lot of thoughts about this.
It's a good show.
I'll try to keep it short, maybe. It took me a couple episodes to get into the first season. I started in the middle of the series. Healthcare and Diversity Day are my favorite episodes in the season, but my favorite moment in Ms. Dwight is trying out purses in the episode Hot Girl. I cracked up every time. I really love it all, though. And after listening to the Office Lady podcast, I have a whole new love and appreciation for the show. Once again, I cannot recommend that podcast enough. The Office Ladies, it's just something that it's cool to see people that worked on something to be able to go behind the scenes and tell you about things.
Right.
And it's cool too because some things would go and try to explain every single episode as they're covering episodes. They're not just doing a big overhaul and saying, this is what it was about. Like instead, they're giving you these behind the scenes moments or look at here, did you see this little ET on Jim's desk wearing a blue jacket? And saying, no, I didn't see that at all. Or just the random things like that. The stuff that if me and you are involved in things, how we know behind the scenes type things that we joke about. So anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in this week. I recommend if you've never seen The Office, go watch it. It's on Netflix. I'm sure it's available elsewhere, maybe. I don't know.
Yep.
But it's definitely worth your time. It's only each episode's 25 minutes or roughly somewhere in there. So recommend it. Go watch it.
Stop hitting the table.
It's fun. It has a nice little reverb.
It does, and it sounds bad on the audio.
Bothers Eric.
It doesn't bother me.
You hear that, folks?
You watch.
This is how I get Eric to flip a table.
Stop it now. Stop.
Get Eric to flip a table.
You don't listen to the audio. You just listen to the little YouTube.
It's okay.
But it sounds really bad on the audio. And that's, we're
that's
not...
where those little things are.
Yeah.
I mean, see the glitches.
And it sounds awful. So, I mean, we're driving away listeners. Because this is a podcast first. I mean, yeah, we do the video and we do the Facebook.
Eric's going to flip a table, folks.
But no,
I found out how to get on Eric's nerves.
I'm going to flip you first.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It makes a great video. I'm fine with that.
Whatever. What are we doing next week? I don't know. We haven't talked about it. We've got the schedule.
You keep up with that better than I do.
Well, here are our options over the next 3 weeks. Let's see, I had it up. We have Captain America: The First Avenger. We have The Fast and the Furious. We have Survivor Season 1. Pick one of those three. Because we're bringing in guest people to do two of those three.
So let's not do those two.
So you want to do Survivor Season 1?
Oh, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's go Fast and Furious. I'll try to see if I can get with Bob.
Okay. All right. So we'll do Fast and Furious. We'll move Survivor Season 1 to the week after that. And then do Captain America after that.
Sure.
I mean...
That gives me 2 weeks to find out something about Survivor.
Yeah.
Because I know nothing, folks. If you're tuning in at home, join in, especially that day, because I don't know much about Survivor.
Yeah, we're going to need some help on that. So,
we
appreciate you tuning in to the podcast today. Again, follow us on social media, What Media, Facebook and Instagram, WTW_media on Twitter. And, okay. Sorry, I think your table has broken our computer at this point.
It's
excited. Whatever. We appreciate you joining in. We want to give a big shout out to Rickie Liles, who helps host our podcast here in the studio. He is our producer, does a great job, helps us out with a lot of stuff. One day we will flip a table. He'll probably be the one who films it because, we'll need someone to film that. Next week, talking about The Fast and the Furious, which is... I don't even know.
Menage!
Did it come out?
Monica!
I think we were doing it this year because Fast 9 was supposed to come out, which it's been pushed back here. But still a great.
Sorry on the calendar.
Still a great episode to talk about. We're gonna live our life fast and furious, living our life a quarter mile at a time. Mm-hmm. So that'll be next week. So make sure you tune in for that. Until next time, stay as cool as the other side of the pillow. And we will see you next week on the What podcast. Bye!